This video will go over how to make a map in QGIS when you would like to export it either for a report or to make a nice figure. So I'm going to use the Wallace Creek assignment as an example. The first thing you're going to want to do is toggle on and off the layers that you would like to be displayed in the final map. So for this one, I don't want any of my geomorphic or morphologic mapping, so I'll go over to the left side and click off the morphologic and the geomorphic mapping. So I just have my GIR and my fault confidence ranking layers clicked on. You'll also want to choose what base map you'd like your symbology to be displayed on. I chose the hillshade. I find that that is the cleanest and looks the best for figures, so that would be a good one to choose. But once you have the layers that you would like to be displayed, you can go up to Project and Layout Manager. If you've never made one of these before, you won't have any of these options, but you can create a new layout and name it something unique. And it will bring you to the mapping window. So the first thing you're going to want to do is add the map. You'll see on the left side, there's a couple toolbars and some shortcuts for these. They're pretty much the same things that are going to be an add item. And then you have a couple of other things up here that you can use, but we're going to go to add item, add map. You can click out the extent where you'd like the map to be. And the nice thing about QGIS is that if you don't like the extent of where it is zoomed in, you can change that solely from right here. Unlike ARC, where you have to go back and then change the zoom on the main window. But if we want to change the extent here, make sure that it's selected, and you can hit Move Item Content on the left side. And here you can kind of click and drag, zoom in, zoom out of where you'd like the map to be displayed within this box. You just want to make sure that the whole mapping polygon is visible. If we're okay with where it is, we'll go back to select move item and then kind of click away, and that'll lock it into place. We're going to want to then add a scale bar and a north arrow. We could go back to add item, add north arrow, click the extent of it. You can make it bigger or smaller. And then we'll want to add a scale bar as well. It will default to have the units in meters, and then it'll have two segments. You'll see on the right side in item properties. You could change it to kilometers if you like. You could change the number of segments you have, or just how many meters you'd like. So if I wanted, let's say 500 meters instead. You could do that. We'll just fix it there. And now we're going to want to add a legend. You can click the extent of it. You'll see that it looks fairly large. When you initially add a legend, it's going to add every single symbology that's on your original map, but we would only like to have the features that we've actually used displayed in the legend. So we'll go over to item properties and scroll down to legend items. And this auto update, we're going to click that off, and that allows all of these to be toggled on, and that'll allow us to remove some of the features that we wouldn't like in the legend. So example, for the GIR feature, we didn't use any of the normal or reverse point features, so we can remove all of those. So I will click, and I'm going to use the control button on my keyboard and just scroll up, and that will capture all of them to remove to make it a bit easier. I didn't use all of the modifiers either, so I can take these out. And once we've done that for the GIR, we can do it the same for just the other layers too. I don't want my geomorphic landforms on there. I don't want my morphologic elements. And you won't need to have your base map listed on the legend, nor do you want the Google Earth imagery. You could also change the order of the items in the legend. So if I want the mapping polygon at the top, I could use these arrows up or down to move where it's going to be listed. And the same thing, I didn't map any secondary faults, so I can get rid of those. And another thing we're going to want to do to make it look a lot cleaner is get rid of these underscores and kind of the messiness of the labeling for the original feature name. So we can double click on the item text and then just edit it to move the underscores, make it a little bit cleaner. Other things you can do is change the formatting. Of course, we want to add a legend title, so we could do that at the top. And then fonts and text formatting, you could do things like if you wanted to underline the title, you could do that. I like to have these subgroup things bolded just to make it a bit clearer. I also like to scroll down and add a frame to it. But you can kind of play around with these and figure out what looks best to you. We'll also want to, every time we make a map, add our name, the title of the map, and the date. So to do that, you can add a label and click at the extent of it. You want the name of the mapping area and its location. You could change the font size and the coloring over here. If you wanted to add a brief explanation of the map too, you could do that. You can kind of play around with it, but this will just be kind of a good example of what a clean and professional looking map would be for a report. And when you are ready to export it, you can save it. Go to layout, you can export it as an image, as a PDF. Give it a unique name. You'll see I already have some other ones saved over here. And the next time, if you ever want to go back to your map and make some changes, you can exit it out and your layout will be saved under whatever name you had before. So if I click that, it'll bring me back to this page.